You're listening to the Convene Connections podcast with your host, Matthew Currin.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. I'm Eugene Brown, VP of Sales for Convene Communities, and welcome to Convene Connections. I'm joined by two of my favorite colleagues. I'll allow them to introduce themselves. Let's start with Brayden.
How's it going, everyone? Happy Thursday evening. I'm sure all of you are out there going, wait a minute, this isn't Matthew Currin. Well, you're right. We are filling in for Matthew tonight. I might call him Dad, but yeah, we're filling in for him. He is up in Indianapolis right now, working the Indy 500 race. So go Team Penske. But I'm Brayden Currin. Son of Matthew Currin and also co-founder of Convene Communities. Very happy to be here tonight with Eugene and Jeff. Just a quick snapshot of where I'm at. I'm coming to you live from Raleigh, North Carolina. I spend my days selling power tools for a living. It's a great job. I love it. Go Milwaukee Tool. And so that's where I'm at today. Again, super happy to be here with you guys. So,
Jeff, you're here too, Brayden. I am glad you're here. If we can't have Matt Currin, next best thing is Brayden.
Yeah, I got to have at least one.
That's right. So, well, good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. And thanks to Matt for kicking it over to us and being busy up in Indianapolis so we get a chance to talk to everybody. I'm actually in Colfax, North Carolina, not too far from both Eugene and Brayden. I guess we're in a little triangle, if you will. Nice and stormy out my window right now, so hopefully that stays away from us. But and then I'm just getting ready to teach. Teaching high school, getting ready for some civics and some world history, doing it online.
Yeah, going to be a little interesting this go around, isn't it?
It will be. Who knows? But you know what? We'll just roll with it and see how it goes.
Make the most of it, right?
That's right. What about you, Eugene?
Yeah, I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina, actually just outside of it in Huntersville. Stormy here as well. Got 4 children getting kids ready for school. So should be an interesting year. We're 100% virtual.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot of homework, a lot of moving parts when you have 4 children to mentor and to coach every day. So
that was one of the questions I had to ask the families in the last couple of days is how many people are going to be using the internet at the house.
Yeah, taking up the bandwidth.
Yeah,
I was just looking outside. I must be in a little pocket here. It looks clear as day.
It's pouring.
Yeah.
Pouring.
I'm sure it's coming my way from either direction.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess, guys, why don't we start by just talking about, we'll get into a little bit more about, talk a little bit more about what Convene is in a little while. But I thought we'd start by just giving everybody a snapshot of our journey coming into Convene, how we found it, first impressions, all of those great things. And then also we'll move a little bit into what it is, and then a little bit about what it is, and then where we are at right now. Where we're at right now, all the great things that we've been doing, and how you can be successful with Convene as well. So my story coming into Convene, how I found it, sure most of you might say, well, your dad, right? Yeah, that's exactly right. So I've been around Convene for about, I guess, 10 or so years now, maybe a little less, but about 10 years. So it's been about a decade. And I can remember all the way back to when I was very, very young, right after we had moved to Winston-Salem, about maybe 2009, 2010 timeframe, the very first iteration of this thing. My dad had been working with some folks. They had this idea and they started to develop it. They started to actually make something physical out of it. And back then it had a different name. It was called like Tech 3 or something along those lines. But I just remember that, and that sticks out in my mind because it was so bare bones back in the day then. Not only was the technology bare bones, but also just the, the application itself, what it was about compared to where we're at today was just bare bones. I mean, basically it was just the experience, and that was pretty much it.
I remember your dad showing me when he came over to speak at Guilford that day with all the athletes. He was kind of showing me how rudimentary.
Right. Yeah. We we had started with, how all these different people could use it and whatnot, and we started, we really started playing with it with like soccer. If I remember correctly, we started making, back then I think we actually even called them scenarios. They weren't even experiences back then; they were scenarios, and we used to make scenarios, based off of soccer situations, a corner kick, fast break, or the one-on-one with the, all these different scenarios. And it was just, it's crazy to sit back and think about that in comparison to where we are now. And how I folded into all of this was just, I was young at the time, and Dad and I, we were constantly in the car, it felt like, driving to and from soccer practices, and then also games and tournaments and whatnot on the weekend. And if I remember right, this is where we had most of our conversations about Convene. I was young at the time, like I said, but so I may have been a little bit more of a sounding board at that point in time rather than, a thought partner. But I just remember those conversations, those long car rides, talking about it, the fundamental of it, just the, the fundamental idea of sharing our story, sharing the experiences that we go through in life, how, in a nutshell, that's really how we learn as human beings outside of the classroom, is we learn from things that we've done in the past and things that others have done in the past. And we just kick that idea around for hours and hours and hours on end. And then we finally kind of started to put pen to paper and, keyboards to paper and started to build this thing. And then I remember there was one meeting that we had. We were showing it to someone in Raleigh, actually, years and years ago. I can't remember how long. Dad, if you're watching, I'd be curious to know what year that was. But there was a year where we went to show to somebody, and I just remember after that meeting, it was almost like I was like, oh my God, I totally understand this. Totally understand this now. This is amazing. We need to run with this. And that's kind of the point where I started to become more and more involved, at a greater capacity, actually being that kind of strategic thought partner in the background of, the making of this thing that we now call Convene Communities.
So instead of listening and being a sounding board, you're able to give some ideas.
Instead of smiling and nodding in the passenger seat, I actually started to, brainstorm a little bit with them. And that was a whole lot of fun doing that too. Growing up, having those, we used to get fired up about it. Don't get me wrong. Like, we used to get fired up about it in the car, this is it, blah, 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 all this crazy stuff. And it's crazy to think where we are now.
Yeah. You basically alluded to how I got started with it. And Jason Berry says it's all my fault. Driving, strategizing. But it was not too long after you guys were doing that you came and visited when I was working at Guilford College coaching on a recruiting visit. And the first time I really met your dad, and if I remember correctly, we were sitting at lunch in the cafeteria and just chatting, and he talked about scenario-based training.
Yeah.
Do we do any scenario-based training?
I think I had hot dogs that day for lunch.
So it really piqued my interest when he was asking about that, and then he briefly told the story, the tragic story about his training accident, the helicopter accident, with his buddy, and then it was kind of just snowballed from there. I got really interested in it. Had a couple more meetings, went and had some coffees with his dad, and he was talking a little bit more about it, and I'm still very interested in it. Really, the kind of the basis of Convene, as you were saying, those basic ideas of experiences. Everybody's got a story to tell. Everybody has experiences that someone else can benefit from. And like you said, 6, 8, 10 years later, it's still the same.
Yeah,
it certainly has evolved, but it's still the same basic idea.
Right. It's so powerful, like at its core. If
Mm-hmm.
we as humans, we run into a situation that we don't know how to deal with, what do? We go and ask someone who we think may have experienced the same thing
Yeah.
and ask them how they handled it. And it can get much, much deeper than that if you think about it. But it's such a powerful ideal at its core, and can apply to so many different things.
Yeah.
I think so.
Eugene, how long were you into it exactly when we first met in Matt's basement and started to try to do some videos, and we were sketching on the grease board and all that? Remember doing that?
Yeah, I do. It's I don't know how long it was until I actually had met you, but I've been involved with Matt now, at least at this point, for 3 years. And funny story, I drive part-time for Uber, and I'm always working on something business related. And one of his very best friends from Alabama, Robert Downs, came up here on business.
Mm-hmm.
And I met some of his, he and his colleagues in the car. And we started talking a little bit of football. You always make small talk with people in the car, taking them to where they're going. And then he just told me about this opportunity as it related to a sports app. We, of course, knew Matt. Matt recruits me. And then the rest is kind of history. And for the last...
You're not talking about the sports app that we got into, are you?
Is that what you fan? Fire fan. I remember that.
Oh, dear. It's a great idea.
Yeah. Just short on delivery.
For folks who may not know what Fire Fan is, how would you guys describe what that was? Really, real quick in a nutshell.
It was just live, not betting, but live. What do you think will happen?
Right.
If it's halftime, who do you think will win the second half? And you've got points for it. And you're in groups. And
I think if I remember right, it was there wasn't currency involved, but there was prizes or something like that, right?
Yeah. No, the concept I think was great. They just didn't happen for them.
Yeah.
So, but us being involved in that, really spurred the next jump of Convene Communities on how we wanted to start to build the platform. We saw what they did well, we saw what they didn't do well, and we stayed away from the not well, and built upon some of the things they did well. So, I guess every little part of your life has a purpose, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. And going back to the whole technology side of things too, I know nothing about a lot of this, but back when this first started 10 years ago, 2010, 2009 timeframe, we may not have had the capabilities back then that we now have today from a technology perspective. So there's a little bit of that playing into it. Well, it's taken a while, but it may be a blessing in disguise in that regard that, we probably would not have been able to do what we can do today back then. And I just have this image in my mind of the old Convene. I know we've got screenshots tucked away somewhere. It'd be interesting to take a look at those. But I think, the whole technology thing is huge too.
There's no doubt we can do all the ideas we had, and really still have, but all the ideas we had back then, we couldn't have done it. And which actually we should probably mention the person behind doing all that.
Right.
Behind the scenes, Todd Bray. Hopefully he's on and listening. But without all the ideas and Todd being able to take those ideas and put it into ones and zeros and X's and Y's or however he programs it,
right,
we wouldn't be anywhere near where we're at now.
Yeah. So I recall kind of how Todd came into the fold. We had one of these iterations of Convene. I guess it was about 5 or 6 years ago, or something like that. And we thought what we had was, pretty good. We thought it was. We basically got to the point where we were like, okay, let's try to start showing this to some people and see what they think. Let's get some feedback from some people who we believe might actually be able to use this, for their business, for their passion, for their content, whatever it may have been. And I remember we Dad alone and I was with him from time to time, we would have some of these conversations with people, and it wouldn't work properly, whatever the case may have been at that point in time. But it wasn't working properly. We might have gotten a few error messages, there were bugs in it, whatever it may have been.
Right.
And anybody who has been in any sort of sales capacity or is trying to, get somebody to do something, basically, for your demo to not work how it should, is basically A, frustrating, but B,
it's the worst.
Ineffective. Completely, utterly ineffective. So because of that, Cindy Cullen, who is kind of in the background and has really been a part of it from day one, I should say that as well. Like I'm talking day one, but has also facilitated to where we are now. She actually, came to the conclusion that, okay, we need to take a step back from this. What we have right here is not working for us. This won't work for what we wanted to accomplish with it. We had our ideas, and basically the technology and the code that we were working with at that point in time was not going to be able to produce the results and, allow us to do what we were wanting to do. So she said, okay, let's take a step back. Let's pump the brakes. Let's scratch it all and let's start fresh. Mm-hmm. And I believe, if I remember right, that is where Todd Bray, the code wizard, came in. I can certainly say we would not be here without Todd, where we are today without Todd, but also Melinda Crozy. Is that her? Is that how you pronounce her last name?
Wait, maybe.
Croyce?
I don't know. I've never seen Melinda.
Yeah, she hides from us. But Melinda joined at around the same time that Todd did, I think, about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe more. If I'm wrong, Melinda, please correct me in the comments. But all the things that Melinda has done with the websites, our websites are pristine now. We've had a few issues, but they're pristine now. They look fantastic. The things that she's been doing for us on social media over the years, our reach has grown exponentially. The amount of people that we're reaching has grown exponentially recently. And a lot of that is due to her hard work as well. So convenecommunities.com, everyone. Convene Communities.
You can't talk about reaching people without talking about Shayna right now either.
Absolutely. And our newest member of the team, right?
Yeah, newest member Shayna. She's doing great stuff.
Yeah, she's doing excellent stuff on the marketing front. I can't wait to see what the two of them, teamed up, what they accomplish on that front.
That's right.
Really, really can't.
Look at that, a little insight to the rest of the team there. Way to go, Brayden.
Yeah, of course. Got to give the shout outs. And then, we've had many, many, many other folks as well along the way that have helped us in a lot of different capacities, whether it just be feedback for us, or whether it be, Carrie Walters, somebody who's come in, helped us run events and helped us with some operational and process side of things. All of those folks that have stepped in here and there have been huge and exponential to where we are today, I think. So we got a great team. We got an excellent team. And we can't forget Jason Berry either. So Jason Berry with Action Coach has jumped on as well. And he's been a huge, huge help in the few weeks that we've been working with him. And for those of you that don't know, Action Coach is basically a business coaching firm, not to be confused with consulting. I know Jason would want me to be very particular about that. Not to be confused with consulting, because consulting doesn't work. So business coaching is Action Coach.
Quote, Brayden? Is that you saying?
No, that's Jason's quote. Okay. That's Jason's quote. Consulting doesn't work. So anyway.
As you were talking about all that, and great job monologuing there. What?
Sorry, I got carried away.
No, I just thought it'd be great if we started telling everybody how we use it.
Yeah.
And I think, Eugene, you're on probably more of the communities than the other two of us. I'm trying to think. I got soccer, I got teaching, I got coaching. But you're with the affiliates. You're in health and wellness with Christians. Yeah. What? give us some insight on where you're at with it, on what you're using it for.
Well, I'm gonna try to use it for everything that we built it for, which of course, if someone's on here that has no idea what Convene is. It's just a platform, or more of a training platform that's going to allow people, as we like to say, connect, communicate, and collaborate. And people can do that as free users, and they can certainly do that as entrepreneurs and small businesses. And so, for me personally, I'm going to try to touch it all. The affiliate program I love. There's 8 different ways to earn income. As a community leader, you can earn 20% on building your own business center. And for me personally, I have my own community that's going to launch probably in another week and a half or so, which is going to enable me to, as you guys already know, share content, create courses, sell other people's products.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that one, if you wouldn't mind. I don't know, how deep you are into it, but I'd love it if you would share with us just a little bit about like how you're thinking about that community that's going to be your own, rather, is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, just with Convene, for me, it does so many things, and so I think where a lot of people are, at least in the environment that we're in nationally, people are looking to figure out a way to make more money. And you try to take a platform and figure out how do I marry up what I'm good at with what the platform offers. So to your question, I have a financial background. I used to work for the Vanguard Group. I used to be an investment advisor. I used to have my Series 7, which is your stocks, bonds, mutual funds.
I'm not sure I knew that.
Yeah, probably didn't. I used to work for Ameriprise as a financial advisor as well. So my goal is to be able to help people earn income, and I'm starting to gain some traction. I'm getting pretty good at what I used to be good at. So
okay, good, awesome.
Yeah.
And you got like a name for it yet?
Yeah, it's going to be Stone Eye Capital.
Stone Eye Capital. I love that.
What's the meaning there?
Stone Eye is I took it from the Bible.
Okay.
Jesus had said, first get the stone out of your own eye so that you can see clearly to get the stone out of your brother's eye. So, you need to do certain things well. And when you do those things well yourself, then you can see more clearly to help other people, whether that's, be a better soccer player, be a better investor, be a better human, clean up your own act, so Stone Eye.
There you go. Very, very valid. Well, I'm sure all of us are chomping at the bit to get into that community for sure. That'll be exciting. Stone Eye Capital coming soon.
It's great how many different parts of Convene that you're involved in. And I think it touches a larger topic of, once you get into Convene, you're going to be able to see, the 20, 25 different communities we already have right now. But you start to look around and really that platform, or our platform, and the basis of connect, communicate, collaborate, and then educate can really just be anything almost at all that anybody has an interest in. We've talked about soccer, we've talked about Christians, and there's a military, we talked about coaching. I mean, just about anything you want. We have also smaller businesses coming in and using it. And that part of it, to be able to use it for any of your interests is what really kind of keeps me going. But what I wanted to do quickly is, for those watching that maybe don't quite know or haven't been on yet, we talk about communities, we mentioned groups, we've mentioned affiliates, but maybe just a quick little mental sketch of, a Convene community is really, if we just say put it in soccer terms, because that's what I'm the leader of. Convene is Convene Soccer is its own little community, its own little box, if you will, right? And soccer, if you think about it, has a lot of broad terms to it. You got soccer players, soccer coaches, soccer parents, the World Cup, referees, drills, fans, whatever you want in the world of soccer. What each one of those little topics are then groups inside the soccer community.
Keeps me going. But what I wanted to do quickly is.
So,
Sorry.
is that you?
Yeah, that was me. My bad.
But each one of those little groups, everybody has an interest in it, right? So, if it's referees per se, there's a referee soccer group where they can go in and share, tips about refereeing. They can go share stories about how much they hate parents on the sidelines. They can share stories about, players or whatever it is. And the same for the players and coaches. And you can use soccer clubs, So if you think of any sort of topic that you want to think about, and all the little subtopics that go into it, essentially that's Convene Communities right there. And the educate part of it, Eugene, you mentioned educating and all that and making money on it. Well, you can also not make money if you want to. If you just want to have a group, have a free group, and you want to get people of like-minded people of the same topic together and ask questions and get answers and everything else. That's exactly what it's used for as well.
Yeah, I think so much of it. So many people are using this medium now more than ever with COVID. I think Zoom, their platform has grown 4 or 5-fold because everyone obviously has to do everything online. We spoke about that my children are all doing virtual learning. Well, everyone just across the globe is doing a lot of things online. So hopefully our platform will solve a need not only to help people communicate, but help to educate people, because I think there's a lot of misinformation that's out there. The media, I always say, does an amazing job of trying to influence the masses. So you have a platform where people connect and can communicate, and there's two-way dialogue, whether that be, people, trying to share content through video or written or however they share it. It's a place for people to interact, come together, and talk about things that they're passionate about.
Yeah, and they can even do that. I'm thinking of the Hope and Wellness community, with some of the groups in addiction, so people can do this in a very safe and secure place and anonymously. We could start a group about something in, maybe alcohol addiction, and someone finds it, and we have these questions and answers, and people are sharing stories, and it's all anonymous, so you feel like you can honestly share your experiences with everybody else. So every time I talk about it, Brayden, I just think about your dad and all the ideas that are running in his head, and what a great idea he's had.
Yeah, and what he's come up with. Circling back to sports, and I think sports I played soccer and sports growing up and everything. I just think, even just sports, it's one little niche of one little niche community of what Convene can impact. There are so many others, but with sports, you could get as granular with it as doing an experience for, a set piece, right? Chalking out, a corner kick play, or, a set piece play, or, breaking down film, little snips of film, programs do that all over the place, and I'm sure they're getting younger.
Have to be in the same room,
right? You don't have to be in the same room, and
all over the country, all over wherever you want. Yeah,
that's exactly right. And people are already doing this. They're just doing it in multiple different places. They're sharing. They're packing 30 college kids or 30 people into a tight room with a projector on the screen. And I can remember doing all of that. There's our projector putting something on. It's archaic in a way, but it could get as granular as something like that, like a set piece, or watching film about a specific game or something like that, trying to come up with a game plan. And it could be much, 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 much bigger picture, right? Sports building character and all of those things, those life lessons that you pull from sports as well, that, I know I've taken with me, and I'm sure that, you guys have taken with you from your experiences to where I am now. And it's shaped and molded, the person who I am today. And Convene Communities is a place where I can go and share that with folks.
Yeah.
In a structured way,
So speaking of how it can be used in so many different ways, we got a question here on Facebook about how can an author use Convene Communities? Lots of, I'm trying to put all the different ways into.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing, and I think from an author's perspective, it might depend on like who the audience is at that point in time. Is it other colleagues? Is it other writers that you're, hey, can you guys take a look at this and give me some feedback? Here are some specific points, the things that I'd like for you to look out for, and let me know what you think. Or is it your audience on the flip side of the coin, right? Are you doing a chapter by chapter review? I think the possibilities are, almost endless.
We have a couple of authors, right? Well, they just popped right there. Patty Moeller.
Patty Moeller, yeah.
Written the book, and she's using it to engage with her audience, I guess, her readers. She's right now doing a 30-day, I think it is. 30. Say again. 21 day. Sorry, 21 day abundance community or group, and so every day she sends out to her members, to her community, to her readers, a passage of some sort or a video of some sort, and it has to do with abundance in life. So she's using parts of her book or examples from her book to further influence her readers. So yeah. And
there's also, I was going to say, there's the interaction again. It's that two-way communication. If you have you're in a writing community or a book community, and you're breaking down your book chapter by chapter, you're going to find that you're going to have a lot of people who are followers, or they may find your book interesting once maybe they've read one of the chapters or one of the experiences about something that you've written. Right. And then you can have an interaction with them. If I've written a book and I posed a couple of questions using our system, and Brayden chimes in and says, hey, I really like what you said in chapter 2 about drug and alcohol addiction. Now he and I can have a conversation about it. Whereas on a lot of other platforms, you're typically not going to have that. Also, a writer or an author, they can obviously sell their books, link out to their other websites, the other social media platforms, and they can also build a course. Maybe they're building a course on how to write a book. Because I know at some point I'm going to reach out to Patty to find out what were the steps involved in writing the book.
Right. Or Tom Levine, same idea.
Yeah, Tom Levine as well.
So I used actually, and I had forgotten, it was so long, a year and a half ago, but I used the writing community with an English class I did a long-term sub job for. Actually, it was a journalism class, excuse me. So I jumped in at the end of March, middle of March, as I was transitioning from coaching into teaching. And they asked me to take a journalism class and finish it up. And I know nothing about journalism. So, I'm Googling away and everything. Well, I was actually talking to Matt about it and just kind of venting a little bit. And he goes, well, use Convene. So sure enough, I signed up, registered all the kids in class, and they had them write certain experiences, and they shared it with everybody in class. And I'll tell you, man, they had a blast with it. They loved it.
Dive, if you can, and if you wouldn't mind, dive a little bit deeper into that, if you will, because I think it's very relevant right now with, all of these, kids out there about to go back to school and everything. Yeah. And I think it'll give some good insight about how all of these teachers and schools could use it.
I was actually going to try to mention that a bit. It's our school. Let me go this way. Our school, we use Google Suites platform. Okay, so once I get into the semester a little bit and get used to it, I'm going to then move into using Convene for the class or for the history. But how I used it with the journalism class, and if I'm not mistaken, I did it with the English kids too. But so we just went with a topic. The first day I just said, hey, once they got used to what Convene was, and I showed them how to write an experience, I said, come up with any experience, any topic you want. And I tell you, they went from riding, and I'm not lying to you, riding a bike to something about George Costanza, which I didn't realize they really knew what Seinfeld was, because these were ninth graders 2 years ago. And a couple other things, but it was really interesting of just the topics they had and how they approached it and some of the questions they asked. And then which ones were the most sort of, I guess, popular to take the experiences with because of the certain topics. So there was definitely an excitement with the students. But, as you said, Brayden, with COVID going on and with distance learning happening, teachers could really use this. I know, like Canvas is a pretty popular platform now. Google obviously is a pretty popular platform now, but Convene is right there with them. We unfortunately right now, I think it's just we don't have the longevity that these companies have. Certainly Google's on its own platform, the company in the world, but we can do our lessons in an experience. We can put each one of our classes in groups. There's test.
Pre-test, post-test.
There's a pre-test, there's a test, there's a post-test option that teachers can make, which is very similar to Canvas. And as we were looking at the other day, has some better qualities than some of the Canvas elements. And then, same with Google Forms. We're right there with them. So teachers can definitely use it. Yeah. And I'm actually starting to target some teachers that have their own blogs and their own small businesses and really kind of giving advice right now, because it's gold right now. I mean, teachers are just looking for ways to do different things and to excite and interact with their kids online. And these people can go right into convening their own group, have all their own content. And then instead of, just sort of random people reading or looking at, or maybe not looking at, they can really pinpoint the audience that they want, allow them into their group. And like Eugene was just talking about, have that back and forth dialogue of, hey, how do you do this? Or how can you do this? Or how can you get your kids, excited about this topic? It's almost the perfect time for it.
And then from like the teacher's perspective as well, Todd's done some pretty cool things recently too, right? Where, let's say you go through a lesson through Convene, through the experiences, you have pre-tests, you have post-tests. Todd's incorporating some really, really cool features where teachers will be able to basically pull data to help them, I guess, check themselves on how they're doing and how the students are retaining the information. And so all of that, is, I guess, I guess it's in the process of being built in, but he's already well into it. And we got a snapshot of that the other night. So.
Well, Todd has a little bit of a leg up on everybody else, where his brother's a teacher going through it, right? So his brother's giving him all these little nuggets of, hey, we need to get this in there. So, but I got to give a shout out to your dad here, Brayden. He writes in that he came and spoke to the kids about Convene and life experiences and how to use it when I was studying. Yeah, thank goodness he did too, because I was dying for what to do, and I was like, hey, why don't you come over? And he drove right over and did it. It was great. Spent a whole class, maybe 2 classes with them all.
Did he get him laughing at all?
Of course, they were laughing at him, not with him, though. You know that. Right. Yeah. So, but no, perfect example of how it could be used right now. So. Yeah, but well, one of the things we should probably talk about is, as the topic is basically being successful with Convene, the roadmap to success. We've begun to document the roadmap to success, haven't we, Eugene?
We have. So it's about a 90-day program or 12 weeks, and we're just trying to lay out again a roadmap. If I can speak for community leaders, premier users, affiliates, and free members. Just how do you use Convene? How can you be successful with Convene? And just all that it offers.
Yeah, we're really targeting right now, or maybe I should say focusing on the community leaders that we have and helping them set up their community, starting to find avenues of success, marketing tools for them, how to what am I trying to say? How to get more members and users into their community. So we're focusing that 90-day plan, kind of a weekly plan, right? Every week there's a different set of tasks that they need to complete.
Right.
And then as we're doing it, we're then looking at the affiliate groups, the premier user members, and their tasks of how to do it. So, even if as most people right now don't know much about Convene, we're laying that out for you step by step, checkbox by checkbox of how to use it, how to be successful with it, and getting pretty excited about that too.
How to get started with it, and what it's all about, how to get comfortable talking to others about it as well, all of those different things. But we've also built in like a little coaching program.
Mm-hmm.
As well. So, hypothetically, like let's say Eugene was coming in as a brand new community leader, brand spanking new.
Well, he will be soon. He will be.
Right. But brand spanking new to Convene, and he comes in, and we've got this 90-day, 12-week, step-by-step plan where we're going to get him from ground zero to off and running, skipping through the fields. But we're as our core team here at with Convene, that being myself, that being Eugene, that being Jeff, that being Todd, that being Matthew, of course, my dad, everyone. You'll basically become assigned a coach, and we'll be there with you. We'll be there to jump on calls with you, to do quick tutorials. We'll be there to be a sounding board, for your ideas. We'll brainstorm with you. So we'll be there basically with you every single step of the way, because our goal is to make you successful. That's our number one goal, and that's what we want to have happen. And hopefully the people that we coach can become coaches for other folks as well. So that's ultimately the goal as well, where we have umpteen million thousand community leaders coaching other thousands.
We're educating our community leaders so that they can in turn educate other community leaders, right?
That's what we're all about here.
Yeah. So
I was to say, speaking of community leaders, and definitely we want to have not really a shameless plug, but if anybody out there is listening or this video is shared and you know people who are interested in earning additional income, especially in we're looking for community leaders. We're looking for responsible people who wish to build something with a newer company that we believe is going to be incredibly successful. So some of the communities we have available are like arts and entertainment. I think the parenting community is available. There's probably 4 or 5 communities that we currently have available that we need some leadership in. And if there's not a Convene community that you see that we currently have, by all means, let us know that you would like to start your own community or suggest something, and that's something that we can get approved and get going.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's even if you're a small business owner, small to medium business owner, you put your business in as a community, and each one of your groups then becomes part of that small business. Whatever it is, maybe you're, starting a clothing store, so you have a group for employee training. You have a group for marketing of your store. You have a group for, you name it, whatever it is. Yep, you're right, Eugene. We're definitely looking for high energy, highly motivated people to come and run their communities, because ideally it becomes a massively full-time job. If you just think a lot about a community, teaching or soccer or military, and you have all those interests inside that community, you got your hands on a lot of different things, and it's going to be a full-time job.
You certainly do. And I guess we've talked a little bit about how we're different from some other places, but also the beautiful thing about Convene and how we compare to some other learning platforms or learning management systems that are out there today that a lot of people are using is you're not as I'm looking at this through the lens of a community leader who, like arts and entertainment or health and wellness, or somebody, let's say maybe I have my own brand. I have a brand and I have, a community that's branded basically by myself. I am not, and I'm looking to teach people, and I'm looking to educate folks, or looking to help people, whatever it may be, I'm not out there on an island by myself, isolated on, in this corner of this learning management system. Within Convene Communities, obviously, of course, the communities are communities themselves, but within all of that, the people, the users, the folks who are in there, they have opportunities to go and check out multiple different communities, all of these different communities. So as one community grows, another will grow in turn, because the person has come to the platform, they see all of these great options, and they're more than likely going to want to learn about something else that's on there. That's one of the great things too.
Eugene, you probably know this a little bit more than myself or Brayden, but how, speaking of businesses, what about nonprofits? What about clubs, or churches, or people that run nonprofits, organizations? How do they benefit from using a platform like ours?
Yeah, to begin with, it would be the same way, but for nonprofits and folks that are 501c3 organizations, it's going to be free for them, and so all of the things that they can do as an entrepreneur or a small business, a church or a nonprofit could do as well. But there's always that element of, can you do those things for profit? So they'll separate all that out. But if you're a church, our system is just like a website. You have all your images. You can put video. You can put text. You can segment people in subgroups. So if it's the Fellowship of Christ is the main group, and then you can have as many subgroups as you'd like, maybe the men's ministry, the women's ministry, the children's ministry, the choir, the admin. So you can break things down in subgroups, and from those subgroups, you can have subgroups under them as well. So the system does so much, and we're never going to be able to really give it any justice on an hour call, and that's certainly not the intent. But in general, to give people a description of a community, if you think of a community like a mall, the community is the mall, and inside the mall you have stores, and that would be our groups, with Convene. So the groups are the stores, and then the users are the people who walk through the stores. So through the stores and the community itself. So if you're running your own community or your own mall, you're typically dealing with a targeted audience, a captive audience, and there are products that you can sell to them, and the people inside the mall can interact with each other. Yeah, with two-way communication. So it's really a beautiful structure. But
it's a good analogy. It's a good analogy.
I gotta divert for just half a second. Someone I haven't seen or talked to in a long time is watching. Hey Blair, how you doing? I haven't seen Blair in a while. We played baseball and went to high school together. So, Matt is very adamant about nonprofits being able to use the platform and how they can use a platform. I mean, it was one of the basis, if I'm not mistaken, of starting the Convene Communities. So.
So I'd like to just, pivot for just a second and talk about something. We've talked a whole lot about the community side of things, and it's so robust in itself. We've talked a lot about that, but on the flip side of things, we have our white labeled sites as well. So for those of you out there who haven't heard, my dad Matthew speak about this before. I think he may have covered it briefly, but we have like our white label sites as well. And those sites are completely separate from the community side of things as well. So let's say I'm a corporation or I'm a company, and I need to train, my workforce, my sales force, all of that training that has to be done from the company side of things. That can be done inside of the Convene platform as well. So we'll build one for you, for your organization from scratch. And it essentially will function as the same way. The community in this case would be the company. And we're doing this today. Actually, I believe we're working with some Boeing folks. We've worked with large food corporations in the past. We've got many other companies and small businesses and corporations that we're going to be working with here very, very soon. But, the community itself, just picture that as a company. And then within that, you've got your sales, you've got your marketing, you've got your operations, and then you've got their respective trainings, or however you'd like to use it. It can just be a project management tool as well. Todd's done some great things on that front.
Yeah, I've never personally used any task management or project management programs in my professional life, but the people that I've showed it to and the people that have seen it says it's the platform that Todd's built for us. And the project management is so much better, cleaner, simpler than any other project management tool that they've used.
Yep.
And, I think I remember someone, Brayden, maybe talking about the ones he used. Not confusing.
Yeah. So I've worked for. I'm only 23, but I've worked for 2 different companies now.
You're smart.
Wow, that's a whole different story that we can get into. We'll be here till 10. Anyway, but I've have gone through training, and I go through training. I'll just give what with my job today with Power Tools today, my company, we'll have a new tool come in, or we'll have a certain product line making a change or something along those lines. Our training and how we learn about that, and largely how we learn about selling and learn about forming relationships with key customers and things like that. How we do that is largely basically just we watch a video, we take a 2 to 3 question post test on the video. You don't pass the first time, all you got to do is hit review quiz, look at the answers, go back, take it again, and that's it. That's it. And it can be so much more and so much more.
So how's that different than what we do with it?
Well, then what we do with it, it can be so much more than that, just because, you can do so many different things. You can put that video up. But then you can ask those targeted questions. You can ask for open-ended feedback from, in the experience piece, you can ask for open-ended feedback where there aren't 4 multiple choice answers that you choose from. You're actually getting the thought process behind the individual who's being asked the question, right? And if you would do that for a question, 4 answer, post-test quiz type of thing, you can certainly do that. But
basically all your employees are learning from each other at the end of the day.
Yeah, and then there's the anonymity component to it, if that's applicable in the scenario. But then, me, for example, on the sales side of things from my company, I can then learn about how other reps before me, reps right now, how they view that same situation, how they handle that situation, how they have found success with this particular method.
Right.
Whereas, it's really one way, one dimensional on a lot of other things that folks are using today. And then there's the discussion board piece as well, where we, can take that topic and fold it into just a continuation of that conversation, which I think is incredibly powerful.
Yeah. So we've almost come a full hour here, and it seems like it's flown by. We've talked about all the different uses, different ways we use it. There are different ways other people can use it. We have a pathway to success for any new users and new community leaders that want to come in. I'm going to put you on the spot, though, you two, and I'm going to ask you how interview question, right? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see Convene Communities in 1 year or in 3 years?
So which is it, 1, 3, or 5?
You choose. No, not 5. 5's too far away. I'll be 1 year, 3 years. Where do you see Convene?
Eugene, I'll let you run with that one first.
Hopefully, we'll be a household name in 5 years. I honestly believe so. If you get the right community leaders and the right premier users and the right affiliates and the right users and the right marketing, the right everything, I always like to refer to us as Convene. I hope that we're going to be a one-word company like Facebook and say so often, people probably didn't believe in Facebook when they started. It was just a few guys sitting in a room just like we're doing right now. And they said, hey, we're going to take this brand and this company to the people on the college campus because we've got a great new platform that we want to share with you guys. And then, 14, 15 years later, they have like 2.5 billion people using the platform. Will we be that big? I don't think so. But I believe that we'll be incredibly successful.
You mean not in 3 years?
Yeah, well, that'll be that's the 5-year plan.
Yeah. What about you, Brayden?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I truly do. I mean, we are so poised for growth right now. And we've had a lot of fantastic things happen over the course of this year thus far. I guess we're, a little over halfway through now. But we've had some great summits. We've had a lot of great new community leaders come aboard. We've made great traction, added some great features on. We've done a lot of great things on a lot of different fronts. And we're so poised for growth right now that there's really not a doubt in my mind that we will have grown 2, 3, 4-fold in the next 1 to 3 years. I truly believe that. And then I do also think that, and we're going to constantly evolve as well. We're going to constantly evolve. It's almost a living organism. We're coming up with new ideas, getting feedback from people who are using it today all the time. And, we're making those changes. So we'll constantly be evolving, and I can't wait to see where we are. But I agree with Eugene. I do think one day within the foreseeable future, I will say, I do think we'll become one of those recognizable names that, people, companies, corporations are talking about. And that's the ultimate goal. And then from a personal standpoint, I also think that we will become that largely because of the team that we have together, but also because of, my dad, Matt. This is his brainchild. He has come up with this. He's poured, the last 10 years into it. And I can tell you that he won't sleep. He won't stop ever, really, probably.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I know with him at the helm, we're in good shape.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree with both of you. I really feel like our path to success is certainly trending upwards big time right now. And there's so many different avenues still that we can take it and that people are coming and asking about, how to use it and different elements of the platform to be used in different ways. If I'm going to answer that question, where are we in a year from now? I mean, shoot, it's almost hard to answer, because if I think about a year prior, it's just different. I mean, it sounds cliche, but we've come so far, and in 1 to 2 to 3 years, man, I feel like we're going to have that massive base of members, those free users that are looking to connect with other people and interests. But the business and the company side of it, I think, is really going to start to flourish because that's probably where it benefits the most monetarily. So
I agree. I mean, you just look at where we were at the beginning of this year when we were setting our goals.
Brayden, I got to cut you off real quick. I'm sorry to do that, but we got to give a shout out to Stezo for
we do.
That's behind the scenes here, and I know we're a little heart hand Stezo.
Yeah. So, Jeff, tell them how folks watching can get in touch with us. How can they join? Where do they go? What site?
ConveneCommunities.com. Go to ConveneCommunities.com. Join now. Use /register /5 user 5. That's me. But ConveneCommunities.com. Go and register. Go take a look around. Get into the actual communities, and go join one or two of them that are of interest to you.
Yeah, and reach out. We'd love to meet you or work with you if you're someone who wants to jump aboard in a community group capacity or content provider, premier, public, private, whatever public. But also, if you're just a user, we'd also love to connect with you and have those conversations as well.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic, guys. I know we're right up on 9 o'clock. It's been fun sitting in the big chair for Mr. Matthew Currin. So we're here every Thursday night at 8 o'clock. Convene Connections. Make sure you guys join us next week. Have a good night, everybody.
See ya. Thanks.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for joining.